What is up, YouTube? It is your boy Weeb here, and today I'm back with an absolute banger video for you guys. Today we are going to be going over my ultimate guide to PC optimization for gaming in 2023 on Windows 11. If you're on Windows 10, a lot of these tweaks may still work for you, but the way you go about them will be a little bit different. So if you're on Windows 11, follow along with me. If you're on Windows 10, type in your search bar and you should be able to find most of these settings that I'm going over. The good news is, if you're on Windows 10, you can't go into your background apps and turn that off easily, whereas Windows 11 is a lot harder to do that. So that being said, hey, make sure you drop a like, hit that sub button. Goal for this stream is 25 likes. If this video helps you out, please smash that like button, drop a comment down below, let me know that you got improvements and performance out of your computer, and let's get started. All right, y'all, so first off, we're going to go down here to our search bar. And you can either type settings or you can type game mode. Either way, you're going to want to open one of these. We're going to just open game mode for this instance. And you're going to get right here to this game mode setting. What this does is it allows Windows to prioritize your game when it detects that a game is open, running, full screen. What that means is Windows is going to be devoting most of your resources to running the game. And it's going to take them away from background applications, background services, and things like that. So basically, your game's going to get priority on your CPU and GPU usage, which is obviously going to get you better FPS because your Windows is not focusing on other programs. Next, we are going to hit this little graphics icon right here. I will also show you another way to get to this setting. But you want this hardware accelerated GPU scheduling button. So let me explain this real quick. This setting works wonderful for any game other than Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the 2022 version that just came out, and Warzone 2. Any other game, this setting does wonders and gets you better FPS, because what this setting's job is it's Windows managing your GPU clock speeds. It's Windows telling your GPU when to boost, when not to boost, when to under, when to over, all this other stuff. That's the basic layman's terms for it. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 are so poorly optimized that this setting breaks your game. My machine, for example, running a 7950X 3D and a 4090, I get 15 average FPS lower just running the in-game benchmark. So I recommend turning this off for those two games specifically. Any other Call of Duty game, Warzone Caldera, or, story-driven games, anything you play on Steam, perfectly fine to have it turned on. I recommend turning it on for anything except those two games specifically. You're welcome to try it yourself. I know there's like 1% of machines out there that actually benefit from this on those two specific games, but most people have issues with FPS drops when they have this setting turned on. Only on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. I'm specifically saying it this many times so that you guys are aware. This setting is great for any game except those two. Those are my primary games. That's what I'm going to be playing after I finish this video, so I'm going to leave it off. That way all I have to do is restart my PC and I can jump straight into the game whenever I'm done with this video. So from there, let's go ahead and move on. All right, so the next thing we are going to do, I will have this string for you down in the description below, but you're going to open a command prompt as administrator. Just allow your PC to run it as administrator. And let me copy and paste this real quick. Like I said, this will be in the description. This powercfg duplicate scheme, blah, 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 blah. What this is going to do is it's going to unlock a hidden power setting it's in your Windows by default. It's just hidden. Unless you're on a server edition of Windows. But what this does is it unlocks the ultimate performance power plan. If you guys have been in your power settings, there's usually power saver, balanced, high performance. Well, this opens up ultimate performance. This is what you want when you game. Any other time, I have my PC set to balanced because I don't want to burn my hardware out. But when I game, I turn on ultimate performance, go balls to the wall, and because I want maximum performance on my PC. So I'm not going to hit enter on this because then it's just going to add a duplicate, because you can put this in 5-6 times and get the same power plan in there 5-6 times. I don't want that. So I'm just going to go ahead and exit out of it. And then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to type power plan. Click choose a power plan. As you can see, I'm on balanced currently. When you play your games, you want it on ultimate performance. I will also show you a way to enable that by default later. But then you're going to click this change plan settings. Make sure put computer to sleep is set to never. click change advanced power settings. And you're gonna get this little window right here. Turn off hard disk after 0 minutes. You don't want your hard disk, if you have an actual hard drive or whatever, you don't want it to stop spinning up. You want it to be running at all times, so that you get, maximum performance, no delays on loading screens, things like that. So set that to 0 minutes. Go down here to the PCIe Express, click link state power management. Make sure this is turned off. What this is, it's a power saving feature for your PCIe slots, which if you build computers, that's where your GPU's plugged in. That's where your NVMe drives are plugged in, all of that. You don't want any of those to go into power saving at any time when you're gaming. You want to have the maximum performance. You want this to be turned off while you're on your ultimate performance. That way, it's always running. It never slows down. It never stops. It just keeps on going until you want it to stop. Then you're going here to process power management. Don't worry about this core parking min cores thing because I'm going to go over that later in a separate program. But minimum processor state and maximum processor state. You want to set both of these to 100. I think minimum by default is 25. But you want to set it to 100 because, again, we're only running this power profile while we game. We don't want anything to slow down. We don't want anything to underclock, declock, whatever you want to call it. We don't want anything to slow down when we're gaming because we want our FPS up. We want the maximum performance. So you're going to set this to 100 on both. You're going to click apply and click OK. All right, so we're going to open our NVIDIA control panel right here. And we're going to go to manage 3D settings. And you just want to copy everything that I have here. I will go over the important settings with you so you know what they do. But you want to make sure that you just copy all of this. So pause it as you need to, copy, and go. So for this CUDA GPUs, you want to make sure it's set to all and make sure your GPU is selected. Low latency mode, you want this at least to be on. I get the best performance out of Ultra, but you can test these settings for yourself and see which one does better. Basically what this is, it's for CPU bound cases, which if you're on a 30 or a 40 series card, 9 times out of 10, you're in a CPU bound case. Unless you're running like the newest Ryzen or the newest Intel with a 30 series card. But more than likely, you guys are going to be in CPU bound case. And what I mean by that is your CPU lags behind your GPU when it comes to rendering frames. Because for those of you who don't know, your CPU renders frames alongside your GPU. Generally, your GPU is just faster at doing it because that's what its dedicated job is. So what this does is it bridges that gap and it allows your CPU time to catch up. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to want this on. I recommend in games, usually setting it to on plus boost. But here in the control panel, you want it to set to on or ultra. Ultra, I guess, would be kind of considered that on plus boost. Anyway, max frame rate off. Let's see. You want this set to performance. This OpenGL rendering GPU will be set on auto select. Make sure your GPU is selected. What that does is it just saves your computer the time of deciding, okay, what do I use for rendering? And it's always going to go ahead and just use your GPU. It's never going to have to worry, should I use the CPU or should I use the GPU? You want it to use the GPU all the time anyways because the GPU gets you the best performance. Power management mode is prefer maximum performance. What that means is it tries to keep your GPU from going into like a power saving state. It's going to keep it running at a higher clock speed. Preferred refresh rate, highest available. Shader cache size. If you're worried about space, if you're on, just one single hard drive, 1 terabyte hard drive, whatever it is, if you're worried about space, you can set it to 10 gigabytes. If you're like me and you've got 11 terabytes of space just oozing all over the place, room for all the things, set it to 100 gigabytes. What this is it's where your computer stores your video game shaders. It's the cache size that your GPU is allowed to use for that. And what I mean by that is when those shaders are cached, your GPU is able to pull them immediately instead of having to re-render those same shaders again the next time you're on the game. So I highly recommend if you have the space, set it to 100 gigabytes. But if not, hey, 10 gigabytes is enough, man. And if you have even lower space than that, like a 256 gig hard drive, then just do driver default. It's perfectly fine. This 10 and 100 gigabytes is just for if you have plenty of space, it will help save you on the back end because it takes some stress off your GPU. Let's see. Quality, you want to set that to high performance because you want the best frames. And we will give you better. You can find settings for good quality plus performance on any game you play. So just go ahead and set that to high performance. Threaded optimization, you want this on auto because sometimes you want it on, sometimes you want it off. Switching back and forth per game is a pain in the butt. And generally your computer is going to already know when it should and shouldn't use it. So go ahead and just leave it on auto. It's perfectly fine. The computer will figure out for itself when it should and should not use it. And then your virtual reality pre-rendered frames is going to be set to 1. And then we're going to go here to configure surround physics. Obviously apply. I'm not going to apply because I've already got the settings I wanted. And if I accidentally changed something just then and wasn't paying attention, then I don't want it to change. You know what I mean? So physics settings, processor. Set your GPU right here. That's going to be your GPU. That way your computer never has to think to itself, should I use the GPU or the CPU? You want it to always use your GPU. Go to your change resolution tab. Make sure your native resolution is selected. If you're on an older model monitor or a monitor TV hybrid, it may be one of these Ultra HD ones. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the PC native when you're on a monitor, a newer monitor at least. Using your native refresh rate or native resolution allows you to change your refresh rate to whatever the max is allowed on your monitor. If for example I changed it to this 1920 by 1080, I would be locked right here at 120 hertz. So obviously you don't want that. You want your max refresh rate. So you're going to use your PC native and then set it to your monitor's refresh rate. Again, also make sure you're on your gaming monitor. For me, that would be, this is my FPS monitor. This is my story-driven game monitor. So make sure you're on your gaming monitor. Then you're going to go down here to these use Nvidia color settings, and you want this checked. Make sure you're set to highest on color depth, RGB on output, output color depth. If you are on an older monitor, 8 BPC is going to be your only option. If you have the 10 BPC option, make sure that's selected. Output dynamic range, limited or full. A lot of people will say this is personal preference. I highly recommend you just put it on full. Full is going to give you brighter, more vibrant, and deeper colors, whereas limited is going to give you darker colors. It's going to be more like if you had a high contrast setting. So I highly recommend using full for that full, vibrant color output. And if you do that alongside the color settings I'm going to give you in just a minute, you're going to have an outstanding looking game every time. So now we're going to go to adjust desktop size and position. And you want to make sure, again, on your gaming monitors, no scaling is selected. No scaling. Not full screen, not aspect ratio, no scaling. And then just make sure that your resolution matches what you want, your refresh rate matches what you want, and you're good to go there. Next, we're going to go to adjust desktop color settings. Click on that, and you can see I already have both my monitors set up. You want your brightness lowered to 45%. Your contrast raised to 55%. What this is going to do is it's going to lower the bright whites, and it's going to raise the darker tone of the image. It's going to give you a better picture in darker areas or low light areas. You're going to be able to see a lot clearer when it comes to enemies, especially with this gamma raised to 1.15. Some monitors I'd even go up to 1.2. These two monitors in particular, I keep it around 1.15, as you can see. And then for FPS games, I generally keep this between 70 and 75. I recommend going no lower than 60, but 60 to 80 is the sweet spot. 80%, it looks so good on story-driven games. 75% gives you deep, bright colors without being too oversaturated that it makes it hard to find enemies. So this is my personal preference. It may not be yours, but again, just play with it between 60 and 80 and see how it looks to you. That is all we're going to need from the NVIDIA control panel. So let me close that and we'll move on to our next thing here. All right, so now we're going to get into the tricky part. So you're going to go into your search bar and you're going to type regedit, if I can type. Hit run as administrator on your registry editor and just give it permission and open it. And then I'm going to give you guys what to type right here. You just copy and paste it right here in this little bar here and hit enter, and it will take you straight to where we're trying to go. And then you're going to go to this network throttling index, double click it, make sure it's set to hexadecimal, And then you want to put 8 Fs right here. I will put this exact value in the description below. But you just want to copy and paste that right there and click OK. And then you're going to system responsiveness here. Make sure it's set to hexadecimal again, and then you're going to set it to 0 and click OK. I will include both of those in the description below so that, you know, makes it easier. You can just copy and paste it. You don't have to count and recount and keep on counting to make sure, you know, you got the right number of Fs. And then we are going to go right over here. This is the current subfolder that we're in. You want to click tasks. And then you want to click games. And then right here on GPU priority, open that. Make sure it's set to hexadecimal, and you want to set the value to 8. On priority, you want to do the same thing, hexadecimal, set it to 6. Scheduling category is high. SFIO priority is high. Make sure both of those things are set to high. Make sure that your priority is 6, your GPU priority is 8. You're good to go there. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up our command prompt again. So type in CMD, run as administrator, and you're going to type in ipconfig. And then you want to scroll up to whatever your network adapter is. So for me, this is it. And you guys won't be able to see my IP address because I'm going to have it blurred out. But you want to take your IP address right here, and you're going to remember, you want to remember that for later. So I'm going to click X, and then I'm going to give you guys another thing to copy and paste in the description. Hit enter, and you're going to be here on this interface tab. All right, so once that's done, there's going to be another thing down here that we have to copy and paste up here. We're going to hit enter. It's going to take us to this interfaces folder right here under TCP, IP, parameters, interfaces. Now you need to remember, you need to click through each of these folders, and you're going to have to find your IP address, which I'm about to show you how to get. Type in CMD again, run it as administrator. Type in ipconfig. Now you won't be able to see my IP address because I'm going to blur it out, but it's this IPv4 address right here. You want this, and then you're going to close it, and you're going to look for the folder that has that matching IP address. So let's see. For me, that would be this one, DHCP IP address, and there it is. So now we are going to right-click, select New, open a new DWORD 32-bit value, and you're going to type in TCP ACK frequency. And then we're going to do one more, New DWORD 32-bit value string, and we're going to set this one to TCP no delay, just like that. And then you're going to double click on acknowledge frequency, make sure it's set to hexadecimal, and set value at 1. Then you're going to do the same thing for TCP no delay, hexadecimal value 1. And then you're going to click OK, and we are good on that. So you don't need to save anything. Literally, you're just going to hit the X in the top right, or go down here and hit File, Exit. And we're good to go there. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to go into our web browser, and we're going to download YogaDNS. Again, this is going to all be in a package bundle for you guys in the description. But if you want to know how to find it, I'll show you guys the websites. You want to download this. I'm not going to install it because it's very simple. You just go through the installer, and you're going to get YogaDNS down here. So I will show you guys how it works. I'm going to run the first start wizard. You're going to be greeted with this screen. You can, if you know how to set up a DNS yourself, you can set up a custom one. As far as I know, the fastest one for gaming is 1.1.1 by Cloudflare, but it also has lower security than Google DNS, which is not that much slower. I recommend using Google DNS over HTTPS server for all queries. What this does is it allows your computer to run through Google's DNS or Cloudflare's DNS or whoever's DNS server rather than going through your ISP. I highly recommend you guys do it. It's going to get you better performance gaming, especially using Google DNS. I typically go from without using it, 35, 40 millisecond servers to 15 to 20, as long as I am party leader. So you're going to click next. Current configuration will be overwritten. It says that because I already have a configuration. I'm just going to click yes. Boom, Google DOH works properly and is ready to be used. RTT 20 milliseconds. And then you just want to make sure that this starts by default with your Windows. Don't turn it off in when you disable startup programs or anything like that. So we're going to click X now, and it's just going to minimize it down here. You don't have to worry. It doesn't close it. Okay, so our next piece of software is going to be the Nvidia Profile Inspector. Here's the link. It will be in the bundle below. Just make sure that you download 2.4.0.4, not 3.5, because it's still buggy. Once you download it, you're going to go in here and just show in folder. Make sure you extract it, and then you'll get this little folder right here. Right-click that bad boy, run as administrator. Let it open, do its thing. Click this magnifying glass right here. I'm gonna go ahead and make it big. And you get this big old window of what am I looking at. Make sure all your G-Sync options and your frame rate limiter are both off. So these need to be off, application mode off, force off, all this G-Sync stuff. We don't want this on because G-Sync equals bad unless you're just on a very low end card and you need G-Sync to pull frames. Anyone else, make sure it's off. You're not going to change much in this. You just want to make sure that it all matches up with your control panel settings from before, and that you have this G-Sync stuff turned off. And then you're going to scroll down here. Power management mode is going to be perform maximum performance. And this CUDA force P2 state, you want to click this. It will be on by default. You want to make sure it is set to off. So you're just going to click this little arrow, and you're going to set to off. And then once you've done that, click apply, and then you can exit out of it. All right, so the next piece of software we have is the MSI Utility V3. The way you find that, Google MSI Utility V3 Guru, you click that, it's going to open this, and you're going to scroll down here to the MediaFire link and click that. It'll open this MediaFire right here, and you just click download. And then once your download is done, you're going to show folder, and then you want to extract. I already have it, obviously. I'm going to right click it, and I'm going to run it as administrator. Now, if you're on an Nvidia card, you're going to have to do this step every time you update your Nvidia drivers, because for some reason, Nvidia can't figure out how to do this and it not change anything. As far as I know, AMD, you don't have to do this every time, but Nvidia, every time you update your drivers, run the MSI utility. You're going to find your GPU right here. My 4090 is right here. And you want to check this box that says MSI right here. You want to check that. And then this drop down right here, interrupt priority, you want to set that to high. Once you've done that, you're going to click apply. And then you're just going to close out and you're good to go with that. All right, so the next piece of software that we have is called Process Lasso. This is an advanced task manager that's going to do wonders for your gaming. So I already have it downloaded, obviously. I'm going to open it. Run it as administrator. Okay, I agree. Next, and then you click install. I'm not going to install because obviously I already have it. So I'm just going to cancel that, and I'm going to open it. Now, this program is amazing. It's like Task Manager on steroids. So you're going to go to main here, and you're going to make sure that Pro Balance is enabled and performance mode is enabled. Then you're going to go to your options. You're going to go to power, performance mode, and make sure that enable automatic detection and disable idle saver are both checked. And if you want to run your PC in balance mode when you're not gaming, but ultimate performance when you are gaming, check change power profile when engaged. And then go back here to performance mode processes, click that, and voila, look at this. You can add in the EXE of any game that you want for your Process Lasso to detect as a game that requires performance mode. So I'm going to go in here, Fortnite. It is. All right. So that was a pain to find, but we're going to click Fortnite launcher and we're going to click add. Now Fortnite is in as a game that we want to go into performance mode for. I don't know why it's not as simple as finding Overwatch, but we're going to go to Overwatch. We're going to click add. Now, anytime I open any of these games right here, Process Lasso is going to switch me from whatever power plan I'm on to ultimate performance, so that I don't have to do it myself, and I'm constantly getting the performance I want while gaming without having to worry about, burning up my parts, because I can run it in balanced any other time. The other thing that we're going to do, when you open a game, I will show you guys an example here in just a moment, but when you open a game, you're going to go to your active processes, you're going to right click on that process, and you're going to change some things in here. Let me go ahead and show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so as you guys can see, I have Overwatch running in the background. I'm going to go to my Overwatch EXE right here, And I'm going to go to CPU priority, and I'm going to set always, and I'm going to select high. Then, if things would stop moving, I'm going to go over to CPU affinity. And if you are on an AMD processor, not Intel, AMD only, disable CPU 0. I do not know why, but AMD processors, if you turn off AMD, or if you turn off CPU 0's affiliation with video games, any game, it's going to raise your FPS. I don't know what it is about that very first core, but it drops your FPS tremendously if you don't sit there and disable it. So make sure CPU affinity is set to 0. And then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to go to IO priority and you're going to select high. That's going to give Overwatch priority over other Windows services so that your computer is giving all of its resources to the game and giving less to irrelevant services. So make sure you select that, and then we're going to go on to our next step. So, all right, we've seen Process Lasso. Now we're going to use something else by the same company called Park Control. You want to download this, and you're going to go to your downloads, and then you're going to find it. You're going to hit show in folder. Now you want to install this. It's the exact same as installing the other. You just run as administrator. Okay, I agree. Next, and install. I'm not going to install it because obviously I already have it. Now, whoops. Now you are going to click on this, and then you're just going to double click on the car down here in your processes. Not processes, but what would you call that? Your taskbar items that are minimized. So you're going to open Park Control, and then you want to find your ultimate performance power plan, and you want to make sure all 4 of these are disabled. Uncheck bitsum dynamic boost, and I keep these 2 bottom ones checked, but that's my personal preference because I like it whenever my notifications tell me that I've changed power plans. Like, I'll show you an example real quick. I open power options. I click balanced. I'm going to get a little notification flag right here. Power plan was changed. So now I know that, you know, my computer did not change my power plan like it was supposed to when I opened a game, or it did change it like it was supposed to when I opened a game. I just like having that little notification there. It goes away on its own, so it's not something that just gets in my way, you know what I mean? And then you just, once you have all these disabled, you have this unchecked, and then whatever you want here checked, you're going to click OK, and you're done with park control. What core parking is it's when cores turn themselves off when they're not being used. You don't want that while you're gaming because you're trying to maximize the usage of your CPU and your GPU while you play games so that your FPS stays consistent, constant, and it doesn't drop. Cores turning themselves off might cause a sudden drop in frames. You don't want them to park. You want them to stay rocking, stay cruising. That way your FPS stays high. So our next piece of software that we're going to use is MSI Afterburner. You can Google MSI Afterburner beta, click this link, and it will take you to this page. You're going to scroll down to the bottom, and you're going to click download 4.6.5 stable final. I believe the default skin looks a little different than this. This is the skin that I run. So you're welcome to play with it as you like. It's all user preference. But you're going to get this zip file, so unzip it. And then you're going to get your setup folder here, run it as administrator. Install English, next. I accept, next. I recommend installing the statistics server alongside it, next. Next, and just let it install to default locations. And then it will ask you at the end if you want to run it after clicking finish. Just click yes, and then you're going to go ahead and run it. I do not recommend running or just jumping into settings like this. You can play with your overclock as you like. I will say 30 and 40 series cards do pretty well without an overclock. You can run them pretty well just bare bones on their own, so you can leave these at 0. No harm, no foul. A lot of people will recommend you run these at 0. I have found these settings right here to be stable for me and get me better performance, and so this is what I run. You do want to go ahead and go into your settings here and click unlock voltage control, and then hit apply and OK. It may restart. I don't remember if it does or not. If it restarts, let it restart. Now this little Windows icon right here, you can click it or unclick it. What it does is whatever settings you set will apply on startup. So if you're worried about crashes and not being able to recover from a crash, then you can uncheck it and manually change your settings every time. I know that these are stable for me, and so I go ahead and just let it run on startup. make sure your fan speed is set to auto. Again, I recommend leaving these at 0. Crank your temp limit and your power limit up to max. When you raise your power limit, it should automatically raise your temp limit as well. But go ahead and max those out and set your core voltage to at least plus 15. You can do all the way up to plus 25, but I recommend doing at least plus 15. Now what this does is this affects the power usage of your GPU. More power means more heat. More heat means better cooling required. So if you're worried about your PC's cooling, or you don't have the best cooling, or you're worried about your GPU temps, things look hot, you're worried about power draw and the electric bill, then by all means leave it lower. But I recommend raising it at least 15 to 25. I'm not worried about heat, temps, anything like that. I have a very cold running PC. My GPU never exceeds 65 degrees Celsius. So I'm perfectly fine leaving mine on 100. But I have a high spec rig. That's okay for me. And then you're going to go in here to your settings, click fan, and you want your fan settings to be exactly like what I have here. Enable user-defined software automatic fan control. And then you want 40% at 30 degrees Celsius. You want about 58 to 60% on 50 degrees Celsius. You want 90% fan speed at 70 degrees Celsius. And when you're hitting 90 degrees Celsius, you want 100%, because you want your fans to keep your GPU as cold as humanly possible. So make sure you do this exact fan curve right here, and then click apply and click OK. And again, make sure your fan speed is set to auto. And that is my recommendations for MSI Afterburner. Last but not least, we have SteelSeries Sonar and Dolby Access. Dolby Access is an amazing program, comes with a 2-week free trial, and then it's $15 for life. You pay $15, it's yours, you never have to pay again. And when you go here to your settings, you have to make sure that you have an audio device set as default that can use Dolby Access. So like for me, that would be my system on my Go XLR. I open this, I go down here, and spatial audio, I set it to Dolby Atmos for headphones. And then I go over here and I make sure game is selected and I turn on performance mode. This is going to give you outstanding spatial audio for any game. FPS game, you're going to hear footsteps. You're going to know exactly where they're coming from. You're going to have wonderful immersion on story-driven games, wandering through the forest, all the birds chirping. It sounds great. I love it. I used Dolby Atmos until SteelSeries GG came out. Now I use SteelSeries Sonar because I prefer it for streaming, and I will show you guys exactly why I prefer it. So obviously you're going to hit free download. You're going to download it. You're going to open the folder and you're going to set it up. I'm not going to go through the installer because it gets me every time. But you unpack it, and then it's just a bunch of clicking next so that it installs in the proper places. I'm going to go ahead and close that, cancel it. Oh, I may have to wait. So English, next. And then once you click I agree, I believe that's when it starts the install. I don't want to go through that again. So I'm just going to go ahead and, oh my God, I click that microphone every time. I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys. So you set it up, you open it for the first time, you go to settings, you make sure that Sonar turns on. Because I use SteelSeries Sonar for everything on my computer. I let it run when it starts. And then you make sure Sonar is activated, and then you click the X, and you want to go to the mixer. So for the mixer, whatever playback device, whether this is your headphones, your system on your Go XLR, your game, whatever you use for your audio to come through your headphones and you to hear your game, that is what you set right here. Same thing with your voice chat. Whatever you use for voice chat, you set right here in your playback device. Music, etc. If it's just one pair of headphones, then you set that headphone on all of these. And then this over here is your microphone. Aux would be like if you were on a 2 PC setup. Then you can go in here to your game, and you have all of these preset EQs for games right here. If I want to play CSGO, I've got CSGO presets for sounds, for footsteps. Warzone 2, I've got footstep audio. COD, I've got it right here, If I'm playing like battle bits, I've got FPS footsteps. You name it, they've got it. And these are all custom tuned by some pro somewhere that's really good at the game. It's super helpful, and it's amazing. And then you can go down here to the spatial audio, turn it on, and for FPS games, I recommend turning it all the way to performance and lowering the distance to 25. Story-driven games, I would say immersion, all the way to immersion, and I would say for distance, still lower it to 25. Because what the distance does is that brings the speakers closer to your ears, as you can see, the virtual speakers. So it makes the sounds sound like they're closer to you rather than further away. It's basically like, this is you, and now you're on the front row of a concert, if that makes sense. But it's really cool because they have all these filters for so many different things. Your chat volume, your voice chat, your friends. You can change how they sound. You can literally put an EQ on your friends' voices. It's amazing to me how you can make different things sound better. You know what I mean? I like broadcast personally for voice chat because it makes everybody sound much clearer and better. Music, I run deep bass, but you can also run punchy. They even have movies down here. This puts the focus on the dialogue. This puts the focus on the music, the background, things like that. They have EQs for your voice, but I personally, I don't use SteelSeries for my mic because I have a Go XLR, and I have my Go XLR set up the way that I like it. And throwing yet another EQ on top of an EQ usually sounds terrible. So I don't use this at all. But if you have just an Astro headset or a HyperX headset or a HyperX Quadcast or whatever, and you want to throw broadcast low pitch on there, make yourself sound a little deeper, more like you're on a sportscaster show, something like that, you can do that. You have the option for that right here. It's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend you check it out, especially if you're a streamer, because having that multi-audio system allows you to set it up so that you can turn, you can set all these different channels, and then you can set up your audio in OBS, and when you're playing music, you can make sure that your music doesn't play through OBS. So you're listening to whatever music you like, but your Twitch audience is not hearing that music. And so you don't have to worry about copyright infringement and things like that. I'm over here jamming Spotify 24/7, playing my games, and nobody would ever know if I didn't tell them. It's amazing. Highly recommended if you're a streamer. If you're not a streamer, Dolby Access is works pretty well. But I just love the custom ability of this. I mean, you've got all the way to GTA 5, even Genshin Impact, man. Like, it's crazy the number of games that they have on here. So check it out. Let me know down below what you think. That is going to be it for this video, guys. I appreciate you guys checking it out. Let me know down below in the comments what you think. If anything helped you out, what settings helped you the most, the audio settings, etc., etc. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, and I will catch y'all next time. Peace.